Welcome to episode 40 of Comics That Influence. Today, Jake and I are going to be reviewing Chance Priest's Warriors of the Universe. He is also under Victory Comics LLC. I'll have everything in the links below. But Jake, I sent you issue 2 and 3 because he was so nice to send us 4 comic books. So I've got issue 1 and 4. I know they just got to you a little late, but we've been flipping through these on the Turbo Pit Fighter channel. The artist is Jeff, I want to say his name right, Bertrand. And we're just floored by these. Yes, Jeff Bertrand, Bartrand. Geff for Jeff. So, and I actually follow him. I actually have him in the list to get him on. He had a really good, successful Kickstarter, and that was sword and sorcery based. So, whether it was going to be on Cartoons Cave, excuse me, on Turbo Pit Fighter, our Comics That Influence, or my Crom the Barbarian channel, I think we're just going to go ahead and dive into these just absolutely. And I use bonkers in a positive description because they bounce you around incredibly. They're straightforward. I haven't really, the reading I've done of the story is pretty straightforward. I also want to add this. Chance is a toy figurine maker, and it's amazing what he's creating. And so I reached out to him because I figured, if anything, we could have a chat, which I'm hoping in the future we could have with him. But really wanted to just show off these just awesome comics. And I don't have any of the figures yet, but he's like he's his own. He's almost like his own little like our what was it? These guys here, the fiction Final Faction. Where it was the comic and a figurine. You know what I mean? Like, so he's doing it. I mean,
I wonder the economics of producing a figurine to go with comics.
Does his own casting, the models, paints them. He's got like a big warehouse. I mean, this is all stuff I've seen on his YouTube channel and his Instagram, which once again will be in the link before. But the first beauty part of this comic is it's just straightforward. You're just getting monsters battling each other in, like, let's say a sword and sorcery, for Masters of the Universe. I don't know if anybody caught that, but Warriors of the Universe is that connection. And so this is pure fun, man. This is pure fun.
And my number 2 is dated 2020. I guess number 1 is. So is this like a pandemic thing? If it came out in 2020, that the world was gripped by coronavirus. So, does this guy have a track record before 2020?
I believe he does. Yes, I think what happened, and I will correct myself when I edit the video, is I believe like 2018 or something. I think is when his channel started, and he was making these toys, figures, right? And I believe COVID did the same that it did for a lot of artists, myself included, which doubled the business. Now everybody's stuck at home and you're looking for things to watch, and all of a sudden you come across Chance and his figurines, and Bob's your uncle. I think he just got shot out of a cannon, was able to really reciprocate, I think, all the attention. So, and I just have to say, and I'll probably say this over and over, highly professional, really keeps me invited in the sense of wanting to participate, which would be purchasing or collecting.
Yeah,
Um,
you might want to show a screenshot of his Pinterest page. This guy is really into the figurines. I think the
yes,
comics seem like an afterthought now that I see his figurines.
supporting material. I think it's supporting material.
Right. Well,
That's what.
these are very very considered designs of lots of different crazy monsters and aliens and insane creatures, and they're very colorful. They look very interesting, and I think this guy might have a real, potential successful toy business on his hand. Um, so this is I'm getting a lot more interested now, and um, there is an interview online of him talking about his thing. It's on Story Comic Presents, um, and I guess that's another YouTube channel. So people might want to look into that. If we don't get to interview him, but we are going to flip through his comics, and if you can start us off, I'll kind of bring it quickly through number two and three. But what do you got there for number one?
Well, this is just getting us into the whole universe or worlds. For this, I mean, this I do have to say critically is a wall of text, and for somebody like myself who has dyslexia, I am repelled by it. It's also very small font,
Yeah.
and it's a very clever, like almost handwritten font. I would have just kind of maybe broke a lot of this up and everything, but I'm suspecting what Chance has on his hands right now with COVID and all the attention was the opportunity to hire Jeff to illustrate and even do character designs. Because I'm just remembering when I got my Crom the Barbarian commission from Ken Landgraf,
Yeah.
he sent some follow up emails to me about
Right.
other people who were doing really cool sword and sorcery stuff. And I can't thank Ken enough. I also just backed his Kickstarter for
I saw.
Ghoul Buster.
Yeah.
So I'm really excited to get that in my little sticky fingers here, grubby mitts.
Look. Yeah.
Anyhow, this this is this is this is something that is help supporting. I don't even think economically. I mean, maybe it is, but I think what it is supporting the narrative that he has going about making these figures and wanting his own world. Which I think is a huge part of what attracts people to comics. And so, as I said, I think what a lot of this is, our guy goes from his place, he goes through a portal. His name is Ostiti,
Uh huh.
Ostitti. And so, it's just it's just great. I mean, and Jeff's art is so engaging. I mean, I complain about the coloring of comics, and it always is leaned towards the digital processing. But he's hand coloring these with markers,
Yeah.
and you can see there's one area here I wanted to bring up. Where's it back here?
Yeah. It looks like
And
he's
it's
using.
just these here, like the bands of color. I love this. Like he's got the purple marker and it runs into the dark blue marker, which is the light marker. Wow, look, it leaves the white just to get that. This
Yeah.
is some master comic book making, and here he has this entire world to play with. I'm just I'm floored.
Yeah,
I'm
I'm
floored.
curious. So I'm curious what kind of a script he gets. Are they doing the Marvel method?
Mm.
So Chance Priest is this toy creator, creature designer guy. Hands off this whole franchise. We want the print version here. And like, what do you say? Like, I mean, one thing is that the artist has all all the models that he needs, right?
Yes, isn't that awesome?
He's
Isn't
got
that
a toy.
awesome?
I mean, what better could you give? I'm thinking about that. I'm thinking about that. What better could you give an artist than a 3D model of the character? Um,
Exactly.
right. So, but I also want to throw in, because I know you want to get through that issue. Um, I I also want to throw in, this is not the artist that you might think the a toy promoter would hire.
Oh, good
When
point.
we looked at Final Faction, they hired some just, professional, superhero-ish comic guys. You're looking at GI Joe, you're looking at
Yeah.
Transformers. This is like outsider art. This is like, power comics. This is stylized. But there's also a real fluency on the page. So it isn't like amateurish, it's not. Some people might say, well, it's not, realistic proportions and anatomy and all that, but that doesn't matter anymore. I don't care. I mean, you have so many, manga styles out there. Why would it be any better or worse, to say this non-representational style couldn't be just as valid, especially with all the detail on the page and and these compositions. So
I think
so
he's going after kids. I think he knows the market in his own professional and personal living through it.
uh-huh.
I can see him being a young guy getting for birthday, Christmas, or whatever from your aunt, your grandmother, a Master of the Universe, one of the toys. It might not have been He-Man, and just losing his marbles. And all some of the other kids have got the same figurines, and so now you're all out in the woods or in the backyard or whatever it is, and you're having this
Clubhouse.
great time. But then once you're in downtime mode, at
Yeah.
night or when you're bored in class, you end up drawing your own versions of the characters. And so the curiosity is he doing this comic book for that kind of momentum of the imagination for young people? I do also know there's a huge toy market in collectability figurines for adults too. So I'm not saying he's strictly going for the children, but I think this was something where I've said before with Final Faction is, you know, for $2.50, a parent or a guardian
I know, I know.
can get me into a world of both comics and figures. And then anytime a parent says or guardian says, "Hey, do you want to go out and buy a toy?" Yeah, let's go to the Dollar Tree and get, because I need more supplies. Not
Folks,
only this, maybe some drawing and painting.
folks, if you tune in, I think it's just going to be 2 more weeks, and Kurt's going to have that box open, and he's going to be talking about the same thing, and we're going to
I
say, "Oh,
just.
Kurt, did you open the box? Did you play with the toy? You got the Ninja Lady. Be honest." So, but yeah, I'm definitely like opening my horizons, thinking about 3D models, how fun it would be, how great as an artist it is to make your character in the round. Um, but I really want to just like
Can
hone
you
in
take
on.
us through issue 2 and 3? Because you have issues 2 and 3, I have issues 1 and 4.
Yeah, let me
So
make my screen the big one here. Okay, so um, issue 2, you got this great cover here. I guess, if you're more familiar with all these characters, it doesn't seem just so out and out crazy all at once. But I'm going to raise my camera a little bit so we get a little bit more height on this. So there's this first one. I do notice a little bit of scribbly lines here in this background. That would be the one criticism I have. Because I really didn't notice that he was just using these art markers. It seems like he got that set where you have the thin side and the thick side, and you get like a
yeah,
hundred markers, and
double
they're
set.
really good alcohol markers.
Yeah.
He did a really good job. Now this is very definitely very busy, but you'll see the insides are not as busy. Things are more spread out. So he really is going for the sensory overload here on the covers, right? And that's good marketing to really draw somebody in. The covers are all competing on the shelf for attention, and there's just so much going on here. You feel like if you buy it, there'll be a lot to look at. Um, Good paper stock, very, very heavy cover. This is also a self cover where the inside front cover already starts you in on the story. These guys do just kind of plug in some fonts. Looks like they're using like what is it, chalkboard on the insides. What's this called, chalk beat or something?
Oh, I don't
Um,
know.
yeah, if you can see, it's just like this
Well, it's
very.
almost like Comic Sans, isn't it? I
Yeah, no,
forgot.
I think it's called like chalkboard or something, but
Okay.
it does the job. It does the job. Maybe it's a little. I would go maybe one or two point sizes higher, but this just smacks you right here. Look at this. You got a great symmetrical display. It isn't so like nerdy into architecture. It's all just from imagination. But the range of textures, the interplay between the trees and the background just falling perfectly within this in symmetry, and then going off. This looks like poster art. It looks like very just like what do I want to say? Instinctual, compositional design and instinctual, balance, and combined with interest on the page, right? Because you don't want these trees to get too repetitive. So now you're going to have this creature on one of them and this creature on the other. You got these little fungi growing. There's a lot of thought going on here, right? These little mushrooms growing on the trees. Then you zoom in here, the way that he's doing fire and the brilliance of the fire. Everything kind of glows here. Liberal use of like hot yellows and reds. We get into the story a little bit, which I guess we're not going to go through. An interesting choice to me is to have semi-translucent word balloons here, right? The word
Yeah.
balloon, we spoke about that,
Yeah.
and we also spoke about like fades and not having a black holding line. There's so many intricacies really when you break down the art of word balloons. But this one right here in particular, it looks like the background is a little too dark, so you do have to go case by case and try to like bring the contrast out here, because I'm just trying to read this and I get distracted. Mugar puffs his chest and smiles and boldly walks right through the flames. I mean, that's insane text right there. I would have loved to have, not been distracted right there. And I love this comic. I know I sound like I'm being critical and everything, like picking things apart, but I am very nerdy about typography, and I know these things are a compromise between the time that you have to put in versus just cranking the stuff out. So we're introducing a lot more characters here in number two. This kind of like ode to Spider-Man is interesting, right?
Yeah.
Um, Notice that. Here are some really harsh, excitement lines, or I call them manga lines in my classroom. So he's not ashamed to break a lot of conventions here. Let's get just, for the sake of just dazzling eye candy, let's, dispense with any, expectations that this has to be realistic or it has to be, in perspective or foreshortened or anything. These characters are all, it's all insane when you realize that these are all figurines that are for sale, and that you could go on online and see the whole kind of like panoply of them right now on Pinterest. um so the action here is a little bit, what do I want to say, stiff, right? The action's a little bit stiff here, right? Like not very fluid. But
Yeah.
you see that here. That's the guy's style. That's the artist's style, right?
Yeah.
A lot of these characters are just very stiff, and that's not the that's not the value there. The value there is the rendering and the muscle tone and kind of like the underground shading effects. And then since he's doing his own coloring, coming in and just really making it splashy, with the like a broad array of colors. But I don't think this is a bad overuse of color. This is like an intentional overuse of color because the whole look right from the beginning is like a psychedelic poster.
Yeah, yeah. No,
So,
I think Jeff has his own trajectory and growth, but I believe the amount of work he's been able to uh, get out is just it's
it's prolific.
incredible. It's just really incredible, and it's a part of a line of toys. I mean, hello, is anybody home? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I think it's just something that a comic book artist, not only for the animation or TV or movie, I think the line of toys is always. It's right behind there to be able to see that.
And so, folks, in people that are listening in this, network of viewers that we have and creators that we have, yeah, maybe you want to check some of these characters out. Maybe if you're an artist and you want to pitch the, the toy maker here, he's got Cobrax here. This is like a big snake character, and he's got Green Aaron here. So they're definitely like poking fun at some of the Marvel and DC. He clamps his claw around the throat, but below the bulge. What if you're a young kid and you just see this guy's whole assortment of character design, based on his toys, and you say, "Hey, how do you like a comic of this character versus this character?" I mean, this is all possible because you got the instant tie-in of the toy, and then that's just cross promoting on two different platforms right off the bat.
Yeah. And
So
now that you're in issue two, I there's obviously a deeper sense to the story. It's not just about characters beating each other in fights, though. It's pretty much page to page. Um, I think even with the introduction of characters, let's say newer characters, it's adding a piece of the story for depth.
well, you say
So
that, but there's also very intentional camp here. So take this, you vile reptile. Good job, Mugar. I think that blow did the trick. This is kind of like GI Joe talk right here, and
yeah,
that's
right, right, right.
and this isn't because these guys are bad writers. It's because these guys are just taking the piss out of everything. You
Yeah, they're
know.
modeling after what has given them inspiration and motivation, and I think it's almost I believe the success of comics is based on the creators being 100% bought in on that. Something triggered them as a young person, wherever that space was, and they just wanted in. And it goes on from there. But yeah, it's
I
just
love
so
this. I
great.
love it. Like
It's so
like this
great.
stopped me. First of all, you have these kind of like Indian, religious kind of, homages here. And this is just the bottom of a panel on page, 5, panel 5. So, you wonder where is the giant Shiva page, with
Yeah,
this
yeah,
kind
yeah,
of,
yeah, yeah.
but then you would get, because this is how fast the story is moving. Then you get into the fight with Kobrax, and they smash him in his belly with the club. He spits out the lady that he ate. Right, that's what this big lump was. He looks like he's smiling about the whole thing. And look at the
Oh,
great design. All the guy had to do was just plug into the toy, and it was already all pre-designed.
yeah.
Um, Brain him, Mugar, with pleasure, Aaron. But look, before he can bring the club down for a finishing blow, a pinkish black ooze hits his back and begins to burn his flesh, right? And you can see it's like
Oh,
searing his flesh. And then you get this page. So now we're on a whole other thing. So the script was like, okay, how many of these toys can we fit in this
yeah,
issue?
yeah.
Headmon. So, now we have a page here or a spread here, and this guy's got he's all veiny, with the red and green here, but then he's also covered with this goop that he can shoot out at these guys, and it's like a burning acid. And this, I just like couldn't
Drop
even,
it down.
I
Drop it
couldn't even,
down.
I couldn't even stand it right here. Look,
Yeah.
because I love this the most because the thumb is facing the wrong way. Yeah.
No, he is. No, it's from his left. It's his left
No, his
arm going
arm
forward.
is his arm. Oh wait, so he's like
Yeah.
crossing his arm like Bruce
Yeah.
Lee.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah, man.
no,
It's
but
like,
no, but look, his right hand is a claw here. So yes,
no,
this has
that's
to be
right. No, that's his left. That's his left. That's a left-handed punch, man. He
just the
swats
fact that
him.
we're having this conversation.
I love it, man. I love it. And
So
here's
it goes on and
here's
on. I'm not going to show the last couple pages on that one, but
right. Well, I was just going
but
to say this, Jake. I was just going to say
yeah,
this. The other interesting comparison is Power Comics.
yes and no. I mean,
Right.
Power Comics has that kind of like unintentional thing going, like unintentionally campy or unintentionally, not representative. Like, if you go back to the 80s and all those comics, those guys were doing their damnedest to do like, the pros, and it just didn't come out that way. These
Right.
guys are on the shoulders of all those guys, right?
Well, that's my
Standing on
point.
I'm standing
That
tall on the
is
shoulders of all this, saying, yes, what you did was
yes, exactly.
accidental, but it was brilliant,
Exactly.
and that's the new genre, right? It's like
Right.
power comics on purpose,
Well, I also would like to, it's like Power Comics, have no fear. You know what I mean?
right.
Have no fear. Make your comic. Put your
That's a good way to
characters
put
in
it.
there.
Don't give it. Don't give
Yeah,
it. Yeah.
man. It is just, it's so inspirational. It's so inspirational.
So here
But
we go. Yeah.
I was also going to say, we're coming up on 30 minutes, and I
Okay.
know we originally said we wanted to go through all four, but I really want to be able to get people to go to Warriors. Well, it's victorycomicsllc.com. Like I said, there's links. There's links in the description. I believe there's more than four, but let me, and I don't want to just take this over and misdirect us, but I mean, we're just so gushed over, bowled over, and inspired by it.
Yeah.
We want them to have some support too. So there's more, and then of course, if you're a figure, toy collector, or somebody that wants to get into something,
or loves one.
yeah, I think there's so much there, and I think we're only going to get into more and more questions, which means we're going to have to get Chance and or Jeff on to answer them. So either
Right.
or at the same time,
I would
however
like
it
to
is.
have them. I would
But
like to have
once
them
I
both
get, yeah,
separately. But
okay,
thank you to Chance for sending us these
yes,
copies.
thank you very much.
What we'll do is we'll take a pause and we'll do part 2 of this, and maybe we'll find out a little bit more. I
Yes,
definitely want
that's
to see
exactly what I
that.
was thinking.
I want to see
Reading
that
my mind.
online. I want to see that online video and find out more. But this is definitely something I would be happy to promote, to tell people to check out these toys and this small business that you can support with this incredibly inventive figurines. Get the first editions, keep them in the box, and then and then let's talk again in 10 years from now or 20 years from
Right,
now.
right.
And to creators like this is just like the effort shows, and you have such creative original ideas just shining through. So maybe you want to take us out, Kurt.
You just did it. Thank you very much. We also have other channels. We've got the making of Turbo Pit Fighter, which we have already passed episode 100. And so we're full steam ahead. Jake and I are also turning the corner that probably about 2 weeks from now, our second turbo teaser is going to be out. You can also see what Jake's got on his plate, because he's got some final touches he needs to make to some pages in order for us to get out to the printer. We also, this is a part of our comics, our indie comics exchange, where we send a turbo teaser to an indie artist. They send comics back to us. We get them on here and we talk about comics, the making of them, the promoting of them, and the future of them. But other than that, get back to reading comics, making them if you do, and thank you for joining us in this video, and you'll see more from us. And I will see you next Sunday, Jake.
Yep, good job, Kurt. And I mean that, not just on the podcast, but inking this.
Thank
Good
you.
stuff. So, see you next week.